Coming up on Need to Know, a special Voice of the Voter debate focusing on the economy. Today we have the two candidates running for New York State Senate in the 55th District. They are Republican incumbent Jim Alesi and his challenger, Democrat David Nachbar. They will be answering pre-recorded questions from citizens who are part of our Voice of the Voter initiative.
Rochester's news magazine since 1997. This is Need to Know.
Welcome to this Voice of the Voter debate between the candidates for New York State Senate in the 55th District, which includes the Monroe County towns of Chi-Lai, Henrietta, Irondequoit, Mendon, Penfield, Pittsford, Riga, Rush, and Wheatland, as well as part of the city of Rochester. I'm Julie Phillip, Managing Editor for WXXI Center for Public Affairs. Our Voice of the Voter media partners include the Democrat and Chronicle, Wham TV, and WDKX-FM. And each year, with support from the Community Foundation, we connect with area citizens to find out what issues they are worried about as they get ready to cast their votes. More than half of the registered voters who responded to our recent Voice of the Voter survey said the economy, economic development, and jobs are the most important issues facing New York State right now. That was true when we met face-to-face with citizens as well, and we recorded a number of their questions, which we will present to the candidates today. Let me now introduce the candidates. First is incumbent Republican Jim Alesi. And next to him is his challenger, Democrat David Nachbar. Thank you both for agreeing to participate in today's debate. Each of you will have 1 minute to answer the question, after which I might ask a follow-up question, and you'll have 45 seconds to answer that. We flipped a coin and determined Senator Alesi will answer the first question about jobs.
Hi, I'm Mary Stahowski. For our state representatives, I have a observation. There was a job fair at the RIT University a couple weeks ago, and the students were interviewed after the job fair, and they said that they would like to stay in the area, but that most of the company representatives were from out of town. And I'd like to know, as a state representative, what you will do to help bring more jobs to the area, to keep our bright and talented people in the area.
I think it's noteworthy, first of all, that RIT hosted that event, and it's disappointing, however, that you say that most of the people pursuing our young students were from out of town. I would think that we would have put a greater effort on keeping those young people interested in staying here at the local level with local businesses. But let's just say this. RIT is one of those places where I've helped to bring tens of millions of dollars in to develop several different schools, from information technology to bioscience. That's the kind of investment that we have to continue to make in this community, so that not only will they be better prepared for the kind of innovative economy that we have and are growing in this community here in this region, but they will stay with a program that I have helped to develop, and we hope that we'll be able to implement, such as loan forgiveness and other incentives to keep those bright minds here once we've educated them.
Okay. Mr. Nachbar.
I feel very personally about this very same question. The fact of the matter is I have 3 children myself. My oldest now is in college. Actually, my first 2 children are in college right now, and I have a third that is going to be entering college very soon. And like a lot of families, I'm very, very concerned that there will not be jobs or opportunities for them when they graduate, and they'll be forced to move away. I think what the central question really is all about is how are we going to create those jobs here? And I think we have to do a number of things. We have to first make sure that there's an alignment of federal, state, and local leadership to be able to make sure that businesses stay here and provide pressure for them to be able to do it. And at the same time, we also need to invest in new businesses and startups and incubator businesses that are set and ready to grow. And these are going to be the future Kodaks and Xeroxes and Bausch & Lombs that are going to provide those jobs and opportunities. It's more than just providing money to the university. It's about creating jobs for the future.
Okay, I do have a follow-up question. Senator, your website says that you're a strong advocate for job creation, and Mr. Nachbar, your campaign spokesperson, says you have a solid track record of creating jobs. I'd like each of you to say specifically what jobs you have created. Senator Alesi?
starting with the Jobs 2000 program, which was I was one of the primary architects of. Thousands of jobs have been created again in our innovative education and economic region here, where we have 19 area colleges continuing to invest not only in those areas where we have a partnership between the colleges and the state and business, but now to enlarge on those with the partnership of the Rochester Business Alliance, whose endorsement of my campaign I'm very appreciative of, and other business groups, recognizing that these partnerships between business, the government, and our local colleges are the key to growing not only the jobs that we want, but to grow the kind of revenue base that will make this healthy from an economic standpoint.
Your turn, Mr. Nachbar.
Well, I think the point is, how are we going to create jobs that are going to be in the private sector? The fact of the matter is that over the last 14 years, in fact, 70% of the jobs that have been created have been public sector jobs or otherwise taxpayer-supported jobs. We can't get into that type of a habit. We've got to provide an environment that allows private sector companies to grow. When I was at Bausch & Lomb, I'm very proud of the fact that my company created over 400 very well-paid and qualified jobs for the community. And the nice part about that is that those jobs led to additional jobs being created in the community to provide goods and services for those people who are here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nachbar. And you will be the first to answer our next question about feeling the pain of the economic crisis.
Carl Hoffman, my question is, will the path forward out of our current financial crisis require sacrifices at home?
I think it's going to require a lot of sacrifices. In fact, I believe that anybody who does not look you squarely in the eye and say that we are entering a period of shared sacrifice, and we're all going to be in a situation where we're going to have to do with less. The fact of the matter is that right now our state spends far beyond its means, and we're going to have to get spending under control, which means we're going to prioritize everything that's in the budget and make some very difficult decisions, and that, I think, is going to affect all of us.
And Mr. Alesi?
We are all sharing in this sacrifice, and probably much larger than any of us ever would have anticipated. Yes, we're paying more at the gas pump. That's why the Senate stopped the sales tax on gasoline at $2 a gallon. We're looking at people who are now worried about their retirement and having to work longer because they can't pay the bills that they thought that they'd be able to handle. And so as we look at shared pain, the people that are receiving services from New York State, whether it's Medicaid or whether it's educational services or hospitalization, they're going to have to share in this as well. This is all going through every household. We're in an emergency situation. I'm prepared to go back with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle working together to understand that we are in a painful situation. But the recipients of state services are going to have to feel some pain, as well as people in their average households who aren't necessarily receiving state services. We're all in this together.
My follow-up question first to you, Mr. Nachbar. What sort of sacrifices, we've talked about personal sacrifices, what sort of sacrifices does state government need to make in order to demonstrate its commitment to fixing the state?
Well, I think a number of them. The fact of the matter is that I believe the state government, in particular the legislature, can lead the way and lead by setting example. For example, by keeping the legislative staff salaries and numbers of people who are employed by the legislature under control and not growing over time. That, I think, is an important step forward. But most importantly right now, the legislature spends $200 million a year on member items, little checks and things that go to worthy organizations. But there are better ways to look at that type of spending. And I think to show the leadership that we are willing to go forward with that type of cut, I think sets an example which I think people then can follow. It doesn't make sense to have $200 million worth of member items and at the same time ask our state university system to cut $210 million.
Okay. And your answer, Mr. Alesi?
I think we've led the way in the Senate when it comes to cutting and recognizing that while we're asking people to tighten their belts, that we're doing that in the Senate, and we look for partnership in the Assembly and from the governor as well. And I have to compliment our governor for giving us the leadership that he's giving, but we do need a partnership with the Assembly. In the Senate, we have put a cap on property taxes, and we're poised to implement a circuit breaker tax cap as well. We've also implemented a program which prohibits unfunded mandates any further as far as local governments